Okay, I wanted to put together a video dealing with some basics of inverse trig functions. This was 4.7 for my Pre-Calc and Honors Pre-Calc class. Started off with some examples here for inverse sine. And inverse sine deals with quadrants 1 and quadrant 4 for looking for our answer. So we have to make sure that all of our answers are between negative pi over 2 and positive pi over 2. And that just means we're looking from negative 90 degrees to positive 90 degrees. So again, remembering from the early parts of the chapter, 90 degrees is from 0 to 90 degrees here, or if we go clockwise, we know that that's negative for the angles there. So right here, I have 6 examples. And again, arc sine and sine inverse, that's the same notation. They both mean inverse sine. So we have to find arc sine of radical 3 over 2. And we ask ourselves the backwards question. Okay, by definition, that means, all right, the sine of what angle equals radical 3 over 2? Well, knowing that the sine goes with the y value, I look over here on my unit circle. I find the y value with a positive radical 3 over 2. And that winds up being right here, radical 3 over 2, right there is pi over 3. So I know that theta has got to be pi over 3. Same thing here, arc sine of 1/2. That means the sine of what angle equals a half. So I look at the y values, and I can see right here at pi over 6. So theta has got to be pi over 6. Arc sine of radical 2 over 2, right there, means the sine of what angle is radical 2 over 2. I look at my unit circle. Y value of radical 2 over 2, what angle am I at? 45 degrees or pi over 4. Now, those were easy because those were in the first quadrant. Let's look at these next 3 examples here where they're in the fourth quadrant. So sine inverse of negative radical 3 over 2. Again, that just means what's the sine of what angle is equal to negative radical 3 over 2. So I find the negative radical 3 over 2, and I can see right here it's 300 or 5 pi over 3. Now that's a problem because it's got to be between negative 90 and positive 90. The 300 means that we went all the way around the unit circle and got to 300 degrees. But the easy way to do this now is just to go clockwise, and I can see that if I go clockwise, I wind up, instead of going all the way around the 300, I actually just go negative 60. So it's going to be negative 60 degrees or a negative pi over 3. Same thing here for sine inverse of negative 1/2. So that means the sine of what angle equals negative 1/2. Negative 1/2 is there, the y value. Now 330, I'm in the right spot, but 330 means I went all the way around. I need to go the negative route, so that's a negative 30 degrees or a negative pi over 6. Sine inverse of negative radical 2 over 2. Find the y value again. So what angle, sine of what angle equals negative radical 2 over 2. We're right here at negative pi over 4. So that was 6 examples right there real quick of doing inverse sine. And again, you got to remind yourselves that you're looking in quadrant 1 for your answer or quadrant 4 for your answer. That's by definition for inverse sine. Let's take a look at inverse cosine. Inverse cosine has us looking in quadrant 1 for an answer or quadrant 2. And I got 4 examples here because, again, now remembering that the cosine goes with x, the x coordinate. Arc cosine of radical 3 over 2. Well, that means, all right, by definition, the cosine of some angle is going to give us radical 3 over 2. So I look for an x value of radical 3 over 2, and I can see it's right here at pi over 6. So theta is equal to pi over 6. Arc cosine of 1/2, that's the cosine of what angle equals a half. So I look for an x value of 1/2, and I get pi over 3. So theta is equal to pi over 3. cosine inverse of negative radical 2 over 2. And again, remember, arc cosine, cosine inverse, those are the same thing. So I got cosine of what angle is negative radical 2 over 2. So I got to find an x value of negative radical 2 over 2. And I'm right here at 3 pi over 4. And then last but not least, I've got to find the cosine of what angle is equal to negative 1/2. And negative 1/2 for an x value puts me at 2 pi over 3. So that's 4 examples real quick with inverse cosine. And then last but not least, I go back and I'm going to look at tangent. And tangent, very, very similar to sine, where I look in quadrant 1 or quadrant 4. But by rule, negative 90 degrees, but I am not allowed to include it. Now before with sine, I had an equal to sign underneath there, but for tangent, there is no equal to sign underneath there. So arctangent of negative 1, that means basically the tangent of what angle equals negative 1. And I can see, remembering that tangent is y divided by x, I know that if I divide out the y and x value right here at 7 pi over 4, y divided by x is going to give me negative 1, negative radical 2 over 2 divided by radical 2 over 2. But remember, I can't use 315 because that's going all the way around. I got to use the negative. So that means I'm going to have a negative pi over 4. Second one here, tangent of what angle is 1 over radical 3. So I know, again, y divided by x, 1 over radical 3. Right here, when I divide out 1/2 divided by radical 3 over 2, I get 1 over radical 3. So then that tells me I am right there at pi over 6, or 30 degrees. Last one, certainly not least, I got tangent inverse of radical 3. That means that the tangent of what angle is equal to radical 3, and you check here, and that will be right here at pi over 3. So theta is equal to pi over 3, because if I divide out radical 3 over 2 divided by 1/2, I get radical 3. So I'm at 60 degrees, or pi over 3. So hopefully that helps you a little bit doing some inverse trig for section 4.7 in Pre-Calc and Honors Pre-Calc.